Am I the a-hole for staying with a guy who is related to my ex-wife's affair partner? I, 38M, married my ex-wife, 36F, when I was 22 and she was 20. We have a daughter, 14, and a son, 10. 3 years ago I found out she had been cheating on me for 2 years. I was devastated. I loved my wife with all my heart, and couldn't understand why or how she could do that to me. I was in a really dark place for a while after I found out. We divorced, and she stayed together with her affair partner. It destroyed me seeing them each time I dropped off the kids because they acted like they hadn't ruined my life. My daughter knows that the marriage ended because of her mother's infidelity. She was old enough to know why we were divorcing. And honestly, if we hadn't told her, she would have figured it out herself because of how quickly she moved her boyfriend in. Because of this, her and her mom don't have a great relationship anymore, which I know hurts my ex. At the beginning of November last year, my son became best friends with a new kid at school. I scheduled the play dates with his friend's dad, Chris, who was single. We became friends quickly. After about 3 months of being buddies, I started to notice stuff about him, such as if his hair looked especially good one day, or if he smelled nice, and that his muscles looked good on him. I even began to dress a little nicer if I knew I'd see him. I never was attracted to a guy before, so these feelings were new and scared me. Chris had told me before that he didn't have a label and liked who he liked, so I took a leap and told him how I had been feeling. That was honestly a very nerve-wracking moment for me because 1, I just confessed to having feelings for a guy out loud, and 2, I had no clue if Chris would feel the same way, and if he didn't, I'd still have to see him because of our sons, which would be very awkward. Luckily for me, he said he felt the same way and said he was glad I had told him because he wouldn't have told me how he felt because I was a straight man. We started off slow since he was the first person I started dating since my divorce and because he was the first guy I'd ever been with. Around the 2-month mark in March we told my kids about us. My daughter was happy for us and told me she was glad I was able to find love again. I'll admit I cried because I was worried how she would feel since the divorce still affects her sometimes. My son was happy because it meant he got to see his friend more often. I told my ex-wife about me seeing someone. I didn't tell her it was a guy because I wasn't sure how she would react. I did make sure to tell her that he had no criminal history, was someone who had a child at our kids' school, and had a steady job. She had tried to insist meeting him because she had a right to know who our kids will be with. It's not my proudest moment, but I threw it back in her face that I had a right to know when she slept outside of our marriage. I also think a part of me didn't want her to somehow ruin what me and him were building. In May they finally met, and she was shocked that it was a man, but she didn't react poorly like I expected. A few days ago her boyfriend, David, met him as well. Turns out they're cousins. I never knew that. Though it doesn't bother me because why should it? It does, however, bother my ex since she believes I knew they were related and dated him for that reason. How she came to that conclusion is beyond me. She's now started to talk to our daughter and say that I'm trying to ruin her happiness by interfering with David's family. I have no clue why she wants to involve our daughter because when my daughter came back to my house, she looked distressed relaying what my ex had said. I've always tried my best to not say anything bad about my ex in front of the kids because she's still their mom, but what do I do now that she's trying to involve our daughter in this? I'm not going to break things off with Chris because he's so amazing and I really do love him. But I also don't want this affecting our daughter more than it has already.